Hello, and welcome to Writer's Notebook Lesson 10. Today's lesson is going to focus on one topic, and that is using quotations or dialogue as a powerful story element to enhance your story in the editing and rewriting process. Okay, so I'm going to get started on this right away. I have this done in two parts. The first part, it says here, part one, how to write dialogue. I just want to give a brief review of how to use quotations properly. You've had this earlier on, but I just want to double check and make sure we're kind of all on the same page. So a little checklist here. Every time a new speaker starts, you start a new line or a new paragraph. You don't want to have this big long page and have people speaking back and forth without breaks. So every time a new speaker, start a new paragraph. Capitalize the first letter inside spoken dialogue. You can indent new lines of dialogue. That's one that you really don't have to do, especially when we're typing it up. And we use commas to separate the speaker from the dialogue, unless we have an exclamation point. A couple other items. Spoken words are the ones enclosed in the quotation marks. We've talked about capitalized. Again, here's talks about the comma inside the question marks, inside the quotations. And then this one here is kind of big. If a speaker, you have them speaking and they speak 4 or 5 sentences in a row consecutively, you don't need quotations for each sentence. You can have it when they start and when they finish. Okay. There's one exception to that I'll show you right here. Okay. Here's some examples. They're speaking at the beginning. Use your quotes, capital letter, comma to separate it. Okay. And then you have to have end punctuation. Okay. If it's at the end, okay, comma separates from the quotes. There's your quotes, capital letter, punctuation inside. And here's our exception to using the 2 quotes. I said if you have one speaker speaking multiple sentences, you only need 1 set of quotes. But if it's in the middle, where you've got your speaking, sorry for that popping up, quote, capital letter, there's your comma separating it. He said, comma separating it. And then they have a second set of quotes here. Notice though, this I is not capitalized because it is all part of the same sentence. Okay. Lastly, with the writing the dialogue, we want to make sure that the punctuation that you have matches up with the words being spoken in the sentence. Okay, here's a couple examples. Nolan asked, "Will there be a quiz on this?" You want to use a question mark because Nolan used the word asked. Mackenzie shouted, "Don't eat my fries!" Okay, she shouted. We want to show that she's saying this with emotion or strong feeling. So we use an exclamation point. Lastly, we have Anthony replied. Poe is my favorite author, just stating a fact. So if you say replied, said, told, okay, you just comma. Very basic stuff. I know you guys know this, but we just wanted to review it anyway. The second part of using dialogue is after you go through your story and you're checking to make sure that you're using it correctly, is to take another look at it and say, okay, could I add some characters speaking here or add more to what they're saying to enhance the conflict in my story? Okay. Here's a old cartoon that I got. It's Peanuts. There's Lucy and Charlie Brown. Lucy yells, "Time out." "Now what?" Charlie Brown says. "Hey, manager, I have a great idea." Okay, so that might be hard to read on the comic strip there. So we typed it out on the left side here. So you can see time out, Lucy yelled. So here's the exclamation point matching up with the word yelled. Now what? We have a question mark. Charlie Brown asked. Okay, so as you read through this all matches up. Okay, hey, manager, I have a great idea. After we've lost a game, why don't we run an ad in the paper? An ad, Charlie Brown asked. Again, noticed how it matches up. Lucy tipped her hat back. Sure, we could offer a reward for the lost game. So we have said, and we just have a period. We're using a comma to separate from the quotes. Charlie Brown didn't know what to say, so he just stared at Lucy. When the lost game was found, it wouldn't be a lost game anymore. Comma, okay, Lucy explained. As Lucy walked away, if I get another great idea, I'll let you know. There's exclamation point. She's saying it with emotion. So the 2 things here coming together, we're writing it using the proper form or mechanics for quotations, but also using this conversation back and forth to enhance the conflict of the story. You know, Charlie Brown and Lucy always kind of go at it. This is an example taken from a movie. It's an old movie called Uncle Buck. It's an old movie because I'm an old person. So, but it's kind of a cute little back and forth between Uncle Buck and his nephew.
Where do you live?
In the city.
Do you have a house?
Apartment.
Own or rent?
Rent.
What do you do for a living?
Lots of things.
Where's your office?
I don't have one.
How come?
I don't need one.
Where's your wife?
Don't have one.
How come?
It's a long story.
Do you have kids?
No, I don't.
How come?
It's an even longer story.
Are you my dad's brother?
What's your record for consecutive questions asked?
38.
I'm your dad's brother, all right.
You have much more hair and your nose than my dad.
How nice of you to notice.
I'm a kid. That's my job.
Okay, so it kind of is a nice little back and forth. Lot of banter there, back and forth for writing, and it just kind of adds to the tension or the conflict of that little scene right there. Just posting 2 slides here, examples from our story that and Mr. Freeze had typed this up. Okay, again, just check that we have it the quotes outside all the punctuation. Notice we're skipping a line. It's all lies. Okay, here's the exclamation point. I've never bullied anyone in my life. Andrea interrupts. So as you can see, again, matching up the exclamation point with the emotion. We're skipping a line. Okay, and all right, this was the middle part where we had the height of our conflict, and this is the second page again. So you can see we start different speakers. We skip a line. Okay, so just wanted to show you an example of this. Okay, so we've got 3 different examples we've showed you. So very simply, as we're continuing to rewrite and edit our story, okay, on your Google Doc, your narrative Google Doc, just go back and take a look. Look at the quotations, the speaking that you're already using to make sure that you have it grammatically correct. And then take a look, see if you could expand on that or work it in another scene where you can have a conflict, okay, going back and forth. It makes the story more interesting. It kind of brings it to life. It makes your characters seem more real and your story more enjoyable to read. Okay? All right, good luck, writers. We're looking forward to seeing your stories when they're accomplished. All right, go ahead. We'll talk to you later. Thank you very, very much.